So here's what I think. Alcohol is not bad for your mental health. Welcome back and welcome to 2020. And if you're new here and you want to learn about how to cope with anxiety, all things mental health, dealing with life as a highly sensitive person, then please make sure you've subscribed and turned on the notifications so you know each and every time I post a video. So I put something out earlier today on my social media. I put out a little poll. Is alcohol bad for your mental health? And it was a resounding yes. Pretty much everybody has said yes. There's just looking at this now. Yeah, there's been 2 votes for no, and one of those votes was me. So let me just qualify by saying that I'm entering into my 8th year sober. So May this year, I will be 8 years sober, free from alcohol. So sobriety to me is one of the most special, important and amazing things to me, and I just want to make sure that I clarify that. So I will always advocate for the positives within going sober. The way in which I used alcohol destroyed my life, and also on top of advocating for sobriety because of my own alcohol use and because of how important sobriety is to me, also worth me saying that I lost my dad. My dad was an alcoholic and he died when I was young, but alcohol was, at the core of what happened to my dad. So my dad was a alcoholic in every sense of the word. So I'm qualifying by saying that, and I want it to be very, very clear that I will always advocate for the power in sobriety for people like me. Why am I sat here now though saying and making a video about alcohol not being bad for our mental health? And the reason is because I don't believe that alcohol in itself is bad for our mental health. And I think it's an important conversation to be had as sobriety and being sober curious is on the rise. I think we need to be really, really careful about what we do. So it would be very easy for me as somebody who is sober, who's been sober now for quite a long time, really, to start to demonize alcohol, to start advocating for alcohol as being poison, alcohol being bad for you. It'd be very easy for me to get on my high horse. And in a way, I've kind of seen this. I've seen a rise in this happening, and I don't want the conversation around alcohol use to become polarized in this kind of black and white thinking of either you think alcohol is good for you or you think alcohol is bad for you. I don't think it's that simple. Despite the way in which I used alcohol, it had a hugely negative impact on me and my mental health in the end, right? But that was because the way in which I used it. If you take the example of my wife, for example, I don't think I've seen her drunk once, I think, and even then she wasn't what I would call drunk, right? But she likes, for example, at Christmas, she likes to have a cup of Baileys, a little glass of Baileys when she's wrapping her presents. Doesn't get drunk, she like has one. Often when we're going out for something to eat, she'll have one glass as well before we go out. It's kind of the thing that she does. Now, I can tell you with confidence that in no way has a negative impact on her mental health. It is not bad for her mental health. In fact, you could probably make a semi-good argument for it being the opposite. Actually, it enhances her and helps her with what she's doing. So what point am I getting at here? Well, the point that I'm getting at is that alcohol is not bad for your mental health. Misuse of alcohol is bad for your mental health. In the same as gambling is not bad for your mental health. Misuse of gambling is bad for your mental health. It's the same as social media is not bad for your mental health. Misuse of social media is bad for your mental health. And by the way, we can flip this, right? And we can talk about things like yoga and meditation. And I can say that meditation is good for your mental health. Misuse of meditation is bad for your mental health. How might you misuse something as good as meditation? Well, if you're meditating to try and take away the pain of guilt because you're doing wrong in your personal relationships, then meditation ain't going to work until you face up to what you're doing wrong in your relationships. Okay, so we can misuse anything and it can become bad for our mental health. The reason I think it's an important conversation is because it becomes problematic. If we start making this a polarized conversation where either you have a problem or you don't, right, then the people that sit somewhere in the middle, they're never going to seek help. They're never going to understand that they may be able to address the ways in which they're drinking, and maybe it's just their habits that need to change. Do I think everyone could benefit from going sober for a certain period of time? Absolutely. If it's done mindfully, that's why I kind of think dry January in a way is really good, right? If it's done properly and it's done in a mindful way, then it can have a huge positive impact on your relationship with alcohol. You know, I've seen things, I've seen people that are advocating for sobriety, which is great. I love to see sobriety being advocated for. But I've seen people go to the extent of saying that you can't post about, you can't post things about mental health and well-being if you're then posting about you having a drink on a Friday night. That's hugely problematic, and it's not fair, by the way. To demonize somebody and say that they can't talk about positive mental health and well-being because sometimes they post about having a glass of wine. It's not fair, for a start. And it's not right, and it's not correct, and it polarizes the conversation. And if we want to get people to start to open up and address our relationship with alcohol as a whole, as a society and as people, then we have to make sure that we include everyone in the conversation without demonizing them. I can't ask for people to be compassionate about people that have problems with addiction, which I do. Yeah, I can't ask for people to do that if I'm not compassionate for people that have a healthy relationship with something like alcohol, right? And that don't necessarily need to stop, that don't need sobriety, just because that's what I need. Yeah, I misused alcohol for so long. I reached a stage where I can no longer use it in a healthy manner. That, you know, that's where I feel like I'm at in my life. Let's keep the conversation open. Let's not polarize this. Let's learn from other conversations. Look at the political place where it's at right now. Yeah, it's become completely polarized, and we're always making people pick one or the other, right? And it's the nuance and the bits in between that are so important. So there you have it. I'm always like to challenge the conversations, right? I always like to challenge what we believe and question things and ask ourselves, where is that coming from, right? And that's really, really important to me. So hopefully this may have helped to change your opinion. Everybody that's voted across my social media, I'm not saying that you're wrong when you say that mental health is bad for your, when you say alcohol is bad for your mental health. What I'm saying is let's challenge ourselves to see what we really believe, to see what we really think is right, so that we can have the open and inclusive conversation, because that's where change will really happen. Welcome to 2020. There's loads coming from me this year. The days are numbered for the coloured wall. I think I've got a new set coming soon within the next couple of months. So things are going to change, and I'm always looking to progress. As ever, make sure you've liked the video if it's been helpful, or if you think it's been a good conversation. And get in touch with me if you want to question some of the things that I've said. Let's have the open conversation that I've been talking about.